Okay, good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes for those who are joining last minute. Good morning, Sandra. I have let attendees in.
Okay.
So we
great.
are live. Okay,
Excellent.
terrific. So in the interest of everyone's time, I'll get started right away. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for logging into today's webinar on travel trade. I am Lori McIsaac with RTO9 here in Southeastern Ontario. Just a few housekeeping notes. Today's session will be recorded. Everyone is muted, but I will unmute everyone at the end, toward the end of the session rather, at which point if you have questions on your end, you can unmute yourself. Alternatively, you can enter your questions into the chat room. In the interest of everyone's time, we are going to keep the webinar to 60 minutes. So joining us this morning is Sandra Rice, Business Development Manager, North America at Destination Ontario. Sandra has been with the organization since 2000, marketing Ontario as a preferred destination domestically and internationally. She works closely with the industry, developing relationships with tourism stakeholders, providing education and opportunities for partners to connect with key distribution channels in Canada, the US, and in Mexico. Prior to joining Destination Ontario, Sandra served as the Executive Director of the Southwestern Ontario Travel Association for 18 years and has been an integral part of the tourism industry in Ontario. Sandra's career in tourism has been focused on actively promoting, supporting, assisting, and engaging the tourism industry in Ontario by developing innovative programs and delivering results, and she will continue to work diligently in this ever-changing tourism landscape. Sandra, good morning.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is having a great day so far. So excited to be here today and to talk about trade and readiness webinar. It's interesting because we're the past 18 months have been a real challenge for many, and the challenge for the trade and the challenge for marketers to work through the process with our many ins and outs of lockdown. And today we're really going to talk about some of the trends, some of the information that I've been able to glean from a lot of the sessions that I've attended virtually through the past 18 months and more recently over the past couple of weeks. So I'm really excited to share that information, and certainly excited that we have such a great diversified audience. We have some tour operators that I'm really thrilled that you're on the line, as well as a lot of people from RTO9 and abroad. Apparently, we've got quite a group of people from almost across the country. So welcome to the session, and we'll get started. So Destination Ontario, I'm sure all of you are aware of who we are and what we do. And our mission is to generate increased visitation by Ontario, Canadian, and international tourists and enhance tourism expenditures in Ontario. And we want to continue to increase the economic prosperity through impactful marketing and results-oriented partnerships. So you'll see that throughout the presentation when we talk more about these specific markets and some of our activities that we're looking at in markets. Growing our visitor volume and expenditures and more people traveling in Ontario and staying longer. Those are really the key in spending money in Ontario. And that's what we're, for those that are in Ontario, those are the areas that we're going to be focusing on throughout the presentation. So our core business, really talking about business-to-business work with travel companies, consumer marketing, earned media relations, visitor services. Visitor-first consumer marketing is a key priority of Destination Ontario through our marketing, our advertising, our digital, social, and we're all informed by research and insights. And we think about the visitor benefits when they come to the destination, and that is where the term visitor first comes from. So we really focus on what the visitor is looking for And then we move into business-to-business travel trade activities, and that could be anything from sales missions and familiarization tours, or various projects or joint marketing agreements. So we'll talk a lot more about those particular components of our activities later on in the presentation. And then our earned media relations, really a very important part of what we do as far as working with the journalists and media influencers. And we do have a team specifically that deals directly with our media relations in all markets. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. And then our visitor services, our Ontario Visitor Information Services Centers, have been very actively involved in gathering and gleaning information from tourists, as well as working with various communities and regions throughout Ontario, ensuring that we have the most up-to-date information to share. So when the travel trade is looking for something in a destination, they don't have to call around to many different attractions and accommodations and restaurants. We hope to have a lot of that information in place for them, so it'll make their job easier to want to promote and come to Ontario. So the international markets of focus. So we're going to be talking today. I've been asked to talk about the US and Canada, and Mexico is my market. So I've put in some information about Mexico. That's very exciting. It's a great market for Ontario, but our other markets you can see internationally, the UK, Germany, France, China, Japan would be the ones that we're going to focus on and move forward, and some of our other secondary markets as well. But that gives you a bit of an idea, but our focus will be on Canada, US, and Mexico today. So the global trends in the COVID era, one of the things that was really relevant, and I stayed in touch with a lot of clients throughout the year in the US and in Canada and in Quebec. We work a lot with Quebec as well as Mexico. So really wanted to get a sense on what they were seeing. And of course, there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of pent-up demand to need to come, to want to come, to cross the barriers between the various provinces. And is it safe to come? Can we come now? And so there is a huge pent-up demand for all markets to come back into Ontario. And the thing that is been most, I guess, prevalent over the past year has been the need to use travel advisors. So travel professionals, whether it be a tour operator, a travel advisor, AKA travel agent, or any other form of distribution channel has been so important. And we'll talk more about that, but having a person that you can count on to ensure that everything that you're booking, any destination you're going to, has already been researched, the information has already been approved as far as health and safety protocols, which is top of the list for everyone, and as well as how safe is the destination as far as getting there, when I get there, what can I expect? So travel trade professionals have been extremely important and will be very important moving forward. And when I talk about the US market, I've got some great information on some information that I gleaned from a conference that I just attended. Digital transformation is just how people are seeing their information. Whether it's everybody's on social media, a lot of destinations, a lot of destination marketing organizations, regional tourism organizations across the province are pushing out messages through social media, and it's really had a big impact on destinations, really to get, whether it's images that really speak to you, it's nature images, which has been a big buzzword throughout this whole COVID, is the outdoor recreation, wide open spaces. So those kinds of things are really well captured when it comes to digital, and how we've transformed our way of determining potentially where we're going to go is what's in that messaging. The reopening and recovery is progressing in phases, and we all know that. So we're working in and out of that, as well as many of you on the phone. What can we do? What can we promote? What markets can we get into? And we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, sustainable, responsible, and regenerative travel, that is not, it used to be a buzzword, sustainable tourism. It's no longer a buzzword, it's a must. People are looking for that specifically when they travel. For all the markets, sustainable travel in many markets, in many countries across the world, sustainable tourism is just, it's an everyday thing. It's not a feature, it's not a tool they promote with, it's just knowing they're sustainable, and that's what people are looking for. And responsible, what is the destination doing? And more, I'm finding that, especially with the US market, that is top of their list, is looking for destinations that are sustainable, there's regenerative travel, they're responsible to everything that happens to the planet. Personal growth and transformative. You know, when they go there, health and wellness, what kind of experience, meeting with locals, connecting with people, getting to know how other people live. That has been a real eye-opener, I think, for people as they've traveled around, not knowing who the local people are and what they represent, and looking at various communities and different types of cultural backgrounds and experiences. Luxury travel is really going to be the first that has come back. We've seen that in the US, not necessarily. We've just recently opened our borders, so we do know that there's a number coming through the borders, but we do know that luxury travel, especially if the US traveler is traveling abroad or they're traveling in their own country, luxury travel is coming first, because they have the means to travel in first class, and they don't have to travel in groups. Nature-based experiences, I've chatted about that, very important for when people are making their decision as to where they're going. How close am I going to be? What's the capacity levels? What do I have to look out for? Nature-based experiences to different markets mean different things, so we'll get into that a little bit later. And visiting friends and relatives and family travel. We haven't been able to see our family and friends and our relatives for a really long time, until things started to lift a bit ago. And so that is just a whole rejuvenation of that particular market. And family travel has been big. People are looking for getaways for a smaller group of people, but they want to ensure that it's an area in the resort or in the hotel or in the attraction that they're not going to be beside thousands of other people. And highly visible health and safety measures, and that's super key. You know, it's something that I think is going to be prevalent as we move forward, even after, well, we don't say after COVID, but through this whole process that we're going through right now. Health and safety measures are going to be an expectation. What are they? Hand sanitizers, the protocols, everything needs to be in place for people to feel that they're very comfortable in being able to travel. And it's just a heightened awareness of the importance of something we all have to be very conscious of. Okay, getting into some market updates. That'll give you a bit of an idea as to the markets that I focus on, and I'll just basically touch upon some of the other markets so you're aware as well. So for Canada, delivering an exceptional experience is super key. Bucket list experiences, what do they want to do? They've been pent up demand for so long. They're interested to want to go back. They want to experience things. What are some of the things that they can do in your area and do in your region or destination that maybe they can't get at home? And we do know that in Ontario, we have many bucket list experiences, everything from a Thousand Islands cruise or a Thousand Islands helicopter to the CN Tower in Toronto to Niagara Falls, just to mention a very, very few. But we know that people are very interested in going to those places and experiencing them. Niche products, higher end experiences, as I talked about, what are those experiences? And I think as we go through this information for the various markets, it's really important that you make a quick note to identify, oh, that's me, I fit in there. Oh, I didn't think of that. And that's really a great way to determine if you have all of the components to move into a new market, to continue to build your current markets. And that's something that I think will be very important to all of us, because the competition is massive. We're not just competing in Ontario for the customer, we're competing across the country and across the world. So we need to, in many cases, just amp up what we have and not do 10 things, but do a couple of things really, really well. Interaction with locals, as I mentioned earlier, getting to know who they are, what's important to them, accommodation rentals, staying longer, multi-night stays at various accommodation types of experiences. B&Bs have become high priority. The smaller motels and hotels, especially where you're traveling, they're not putting as much emphasis on maybe where they stay, but they're going to spend more on the experience. So that's something to take into consideration. Indigenous experiences, again, it used to be something that we talked about years ago as, we have those experiences, but now it's a very, very important component because it's the culture and the history that people want to understand and that people want to know. So we have had a couple of new Indigenous experiences pop up in Ontario, in the southwest region of Ontario, and they are making their way to get into the world of trade. But I will say that there is a lot of help out there as far as trade is concerned, and reaching out to tour operators, to agents, or people that that have developed these types of products. Really important to connect with them because it's those experiences that you want to offer that will provide a transformative experience for a lot of people when they go. Regenerative and sustainable travel, as mentioned earlier, very important, and smaller groups. And what I'm finding with smaller groups, even attending a recent conference, is some smaller groups, they will take a full-size motor coach, but 26 passengers, or some operators are looking at a full motor coach. So it really depends on who their clients are and what their client's comfort level is, and if they will continue to travel with them. If the operator offers those cautionary experiences that, whether it's health and safety protocol and social distancing, that they will use that tour operator. And then moving into Quebec. Now, Quebec has been a really great market for Ontario, right beside Quebec. And it was really interesting when COVID first hit. I had a lot of Quebec tour operators contact me and say, okay, I know you're not doing any fam tours. I know we can't do anything together. We're in COVID. We know that, we potentially could travel around our own province, but the number of tour operators that I had contact me throughout the past 18 months before things really started to open to the extent that they are now, is they wanted to come in and do their own self-fam tours. They wanted to come in on their own, and they wanted to looking for no compensation from Destination Ontario, but they really wanted to get in on their own. They wanted to see the new products, and they were willing to do that. So when time was right, they had a much better understanding of some of the offerings that they could provide their clients from the markets that they're responsible for, and really the flexibility to adapt to travelers' new needs. So, what that is, as I said earlier, it kind of goes across all markets, whether it's Canada, whether it's an international market, is looking at what's important to them, the health and safety protocols, the social distancing, all of those types of things. Educational, interactive, and immersive experiences. Again, we've gone over that information, but in Quebec, a lot of the word Indigenous came up. They wanted to know what experiences were available, what do they comprise of, who they can contact, who is trade ready, and that's a big thing through this whole presentation. Any experiences that you offer, and many of you do, and then many of you are well ensconced in the travel trade market and been attending conferences and working with these markets for years. But it's very important that, if you're not trade ready and you really want to know how to get into it, we can certainly have that conversation separately, individually, and I can help you in that area. Active adventures, all like the hiking, cycling, and golfing operators that deal with those types of experiences directly, and this is in the Quebec market. Last minute bookings have been really, really common. So it's all of a sudden they have 10 people that want to travel, and I want to go tomorrow, or I want to go 2 days from now. And tour operators are meeting those demands because they need to, because they've been with no business for so long. And one of the things that I did want to take a little bit of time to talk about was the challenge in finding not just restaurants, but just finding other things that are open. And with COVID, it's really impacted our workforce, as many of you know. Right from the Tim Hortons to our favorite restaurants and our favorite communities. We just don't have the people to open. A lot of restaurants aren't open at lunchtime, and tour operators like to bring in their groups at lunchtime. And really knowing from a destination perspective, your region, your destination, your community, your city, your county, whatever you're representing, is what's open, and what's closed. So when a tour operator is coming to the DMO or the RTO asking, I want to go to these areas in your region, what's available. So it's been a real challenge. So that might be something that you want to work with your local organizations to ensure that they're up to date and they know that you only serve dinner and it's only on maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You're not open 7 days a week. So that was one that I heard many, many times, is please help us when it comes to knowing what's open and what's closed. So going into the US market, I talked about the significant role that travel advisors play and travel agents. They plan to use 80% of members indicated that travel advisors would play a significant role, which is really great news. I think that, in this business, being in the trade market, you need to have some connection with your local travel agent, agency, if they promote locally, or a tour operator from your region. I know we have a couple of tour operators on the line. Welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. And then 88% plan to use travel advisors to generate sales. So I think that speaks for itself, the importance of that. We're going to rely very heavily on the travel trade market, and then to approach them with our market ready product and what we have to offer. New customer bookings, small groups was the most popular travel, and private tours and FIT ranked second and third. Safety and wellness have the strongest influence on travel decisions, and that is something that you're going to hear and see probably every presentation that you participate in. And the value. They're willing to pay the money, but what's the value? What's the experience? And we do know that the luxury travelers is come back first because they can travel. They have the means to travel, and they're willing to try new things and experience different parts of the world. But we do know that with a lot of these operators, Ontario is definitely on the radar. And outdoor nature, adventure and experiences was another big one. And natural and cultural attractions, looking for experiences outside the big cities. Adventures, they want to experience something new they can't get at home. And that is a lot of times when I do my in-market sales missions, and those sales missions could be into New York, they could be into Boston, some of the US markets that we go into, is one of the things that's so important is looking at something that they can't get at home. Because talking to a visitor or talking to a client, whether it be at a travel show, or a one-on-one, maybe Rendezvous Canada, if some of you I know participate at that show, they want to know what it is that differentiates us from what they can't get at home. So it's really important. So thinking about that, and I know all of you, a lot of you on the phone have really great, unique experiences. So that's what we would push first. And we would want that information, to share with us as well. So we can help when we're talking to our clients, is talk about what's new, something that they can't get at home, or a different experience. And travel trade is rebuilding the market share and through personalized services and catering to consumers' expectations. So I think that that's very obvious through what the consumers are looking for, especially when they work through trade. It's open to new products, meeting the demands of the consumers. The travel advisors are important, and they have a big influence over the consumer's decision. And it's especially true for high yield. So the luxury market and relationships with travel advisors are very key to keeping your destination top of mind. So if you have an opportunity to connect with travel agents, whether it be in a forum to conduct training, we've done some domestic training over the past, I guess since COVID hit, we haven't been able to do anything in person, but we have done virtual training, and it's really to keep Ontario top of mind. And we do have other things planned, and we do know that it's very much appreciated, because without any kind of a relationship or information sharing, the destination gets put aside, and they are connecting with destinations that are forthwith as far as their information is concerned, and providing them with information to keep their destination top of mind. And AAA, as we know, is a key distribution channel, and it has the access to members throughout all of the entire US. And we've had a great relationship with travel agents and the AAA for many years. Mexico. Okay, so the audience could be tour operators, travel advisors, online travel agents, travel media. And the key message that they want from Ontario is that it's a safe destination. What do they buy? They buy brands and beliefs, not just products. So they believe when they come into a destination, they want to be familiar with the brand, whether it's a luxury brand. Shopping is big for them. They love to shop. They love the luxury. They love cultural. It's just not the products. And they want to be part of brands that represent a purpose. They want to reconnect. They want health, spirituality, and they want to connect with nature. They want to contact nature. So not the hardcore nature, but they want to get out there. They want to see. They maybe want to do some hiking on a very low level, but they want to get out and they want to experience what we have to offer. And they're looking for honest, trustworthy, and humane brands. And they're interested in the company's brand and what our reputation is in this media and social networks. And this is just, actually, this information is right off, hot off the press. And that is really important because Mexican travelers are very in tune with social media, and they want to know. They want to know what your reputation is, and they want to know what what you're promoting, and what is what your kind of images you're putting on social networks, whether it's personal or whether it's professional. If they have your access, that they know who you are and they feel comfortable in working with you. Community, environmental, social responsibility. As I said, that's not a buzzword. It's a need. It's important, and that's what every market is looking for. They buy less, but they buy better. So they might be taking a 7-day trip, and they might buy less, but it might be higher end. So it might be a higher end accommodation. It might be a higher end meal. It might be the experience they're paying for. Whether it's it could be a wine, it could be a winery, excuse me. It could be a winery with a very exclusive experience that is only open to a certain demographic that can afford it. And they pay a lot of attention to details that previously weren't a priority. So Wi-Fi speed, safety protocols, excuse me. Safety protocols, transfer logistics, and reviews by other travelers. So they are heavy into social media, and they do check out sites where they can find out what the reviews were. And then working with the trade. So international opportunity, just really briefly, typically have longer stays and spend more than domestic travelers because they come a distance and they spend much longer. And they spend more money because they're staying in more hotels and more experiences throughout the province. And we know that the travel patterns for international travelers aren't on weekends, and they also level out seasonal challenges. So they might travel in late fall and in the winter, where many of the other domestic travelers might not be interested in traveling, and they spread business across very different geographic markets. So if you've already captured, and many of you have, and I know that a lot of you are in the international market scene and do Rendezvous Canada, and you do the sales missions that we offer, and you connect with us in many different ways to get in touch with international marketing. But if you've gone past the domestic, the US, the Canada, the Mexico, that you are comfortable and you've got a good base, some of the things you might want to consider. So the trips are made of experiences. The more experiences we offer, and the more compelling the trip experience is for the international audience. So equals more trips to Ontario. So talking about all of these things, so what does Destination Ontario do? So we're very active in market when we can be, taking market-ready products and experiences to the travel trade and priority markets. So they could be working with receptive tour operators, tour operators, wholesalers, travel agents, online travel agents, travel trade organizations, a lot of times operate as an intermediary between the travelers in the markets, international markets, and individual operators and businesses. So they act as a key conversion partner. So they will put together, they'll package and sell Ontario tourism experiences to international clients. And it's the same thing too with domestic, is they will sell those experiences to the domestic clients, whether it be in Canada, US, and Mexico, opening up distribution channels that DO, Destination Ontario, otherwise wouldn't have access to. We sell through partnerships with travel companies, through sales missions, which are in-market business-to-business sales programs. We train travel agents and tour operators on Ontario product. We host Ontario product tours, FAM tours. We execute joint marketing agreements with tour operators and travel companies, marketing of Ontario itineraries. We pitch Ontario products at trade shows, conferences, and one-on-one meetings. And that's what I go back to a comment I made earlier, how important it is to stay connected with Destination Ontario and your region and your destination marketing organization as to what's new, what's happening. You know, at your hotel, do you have a new aspect that has been renovated, or you've added in a brand new spa or attraction? You've opened up another component of your attraction, or you've added more displays or more things for people to see and do. Just all of that information is so helpful. And a lot of you already do that. You just send me, or you send one of the team a note saying, oh, we just wanted to let you know that, you know, this attraction is, we're fully open, and we've opened up some new displays, and, you know, we're going to be operating only 5 days a week, and these are our operating hours. And that is so important, because that's the information that we can use when we're talking to tour operators. And if that's a product match and a product fit, we can give them the initial information, and then we'll pass along that lead to you, and then you can continue to have the conversation and then close that sale. And pitching Ontario products, as I said, is very important to have that information. Destination Canada's investment and activities. We are very in tune with Destination Canada. We work with them on all markets, and we are very, just as well as all the provincial marketing organizations across Canada, are very in touch with Destination Canada to ensure what they're doing is the top brand of promoting Canada, and then what each province does individually can tie into that Canada brand and Canada message to get people to consider coming to Canada first, and then coming to our destination, Ontario, and then to our individual destinations and regions and within the province, and leading Ontario tourism partners internationally. So that's when that takes in the international markets. And again, one of the great international programs and programs that we participate in would be Rendezvous Canada. And like I said earlier, a lot of you participate in that, and that is a great way to get in touch and in tune with what's happening on the international level, but at all levels, from Canada, US, Mexico, and all of the international markets that participate at that conference, which will happen in May. Working with the international market is a continuum. So you start out with you can host international travelers. Staff readiness is very, very important. You can be all set with the best destination or the best product, service, or experience, but if your staff aren't in tune with what's available, what changes you've made, you know, if you have different operating hours, if you've added a new attraction, but it's very limited capacity, you know, all of those things are really, really important, because a lot of times when people come into your facility, if they're coming to a destination, traditionally they'll come to the hotel, and your hotel desk staff need to know what's going on, and also cultural awareness, languages, the barrier with languages, having somebody on site. If international market is an important market for you, you want to make sure that you have all of that information, whether it be your signage, your menus, your websites, your payment methods. It's really, it comes as a bundle. And I think that for those of you that have traveled, excuse me, internationally, we all know that if we go into a country and we don't speak the language, and there's nothing that, and no help is available, and people at the front desk or people at the attraction or restaurant don't speak your language, and they don't have any menus in our language that we understand or they can speak, becomes a real barrier. And then we go into market analysis and selection. So you consult with Destination Ontario on the markets you're interested in, and then we can help you match those products to some of those operators and have that conversation as to your market readiness and what's your ability as a multi-year commitment to move forward. But whether it be in promotions with appropriate channels, just to note, we have in-market representatives in Germany and in the UK and China and Japan. So those are the key markets that Destination Ontario has in-market representation. So those are on the ground companies that we work with that give us on the ground information to be able to make our decisions as far as the type of marketing and type of messaging that's going to resonate with those markets. FAM tours again, receptive tour operators to discuss trade readiness and to talk about products. And then a multi-year commitment. No matter what market you're in, if you're in the travel trade and you're interested in getting into it, it's not something that you get in 1 year and say, well, if it's absolutely not for you and you've tried it and it's not for you, that's fair. But if you go into a market thinking that, okay, I'm going to try this market, that didn't really work out for me, I'll try another market, a multi-year commitment to work with the travel trade is very important. You'll have name recognition, you'll form relationships with the trade, you'll be recognizable. When you're at a conference, they'll want to have appointments with you, training, their staff. So there's a lot of huge benefits to, once you make the decision, if you're not already there, is what you need to do to get there. And we can have that conversation if anybody's interested and you're not working with the travel trade. I'm interested in having that conversation separately with you. Sales calls domestically with receptives, attending trade shows, as I mentioned, like Rendezvous, participating in our in-market sales missions, and consistent follow-up with these tour operators, and really providing them with exceptional experiences is very important. So when you take a look at, do I go consumer direct? Do I continue to do what I do, whether it be on social media, whether it be working with your local travel agent to find out who's coming into the area, but just even your newspaper advertising, however you might advertise, maybe you do local travel shows. When the travel is familiar with the product, that's when you would go consumer direct, and working with the consumer. Capacity is limited, you have repeat visitation, so you already know that people are coming to your destination. Operating season is limited, direct sales happen, could be the internet, could be direct marketing, direct mail, advertising, targeted marketing. And then if you work through distribution channels, it sells your package or experience to the consumer on your behalf. So you have an ally, you have individuals that are helping you to sell and promote your package, and you would work in conjunction with them. And I know that we have a couple of tour operators from the region in the call, and one, Maple Tours, has done an amazing job, as well as Lansby. Lansby has actually recently done some work with RTO9 and has developed some amazing packages and experiences throughout that region, as well as throughout the province of Ontario. So they're local, they're based out of Toronto, and they have really taken this time over COVID to look at our own country, to look at Canada, and to really hone in on Ontario. And we're very thankful that so much of that product has been developed and experienced, and to really connect and to really understand, what a local operator is looking for. And it's the same thing with Maple Tours, as well as maybe there's some other trade on the phone as well. And get to know how the travelers buy, extensive networks that you don't have access to, the market intelligence that you might not know what the consumer is looking for, and know what out-of-pocket costs until a booking takes place, unless you do a marketing campaign. And that a lot of times when you connect with the travel trade and they've developed a product, marketing, normally you'll have a discussion about, okay, how are we going to push this message out? How far do we want to go? We've got a great product. Do we go social? Do we do newsletters? Do we do an ad campaign? So there are, once you get to that point, that's a decision that you would have with your with the tour operator or the travel agent on what your next steps are to promote that information. And why work with travel trade? For some of you that aren't working currently with travel trade, and so this gives you kind of an overview of what, the reasons, why you might want to consider working with travel trade. A significant percentage of visitors to Ontario research destination options. So they use trade channels, and not all elements of the trip are booked in advance. So there's a lot of visitation and revenue that comes from this channel, from the travel trade channel. So I think that, when you think about what you're selling, you think about whether it's an accommodation, it's a hotel, it's a restaurant, it's attraction, it's an experience, any of those things. How are you getting to the consumer? How are you getting them excited? We can get them excited with great images, as I said. We can talk about the destination, but how do we move them to the buy and visit destination or trip along the way? And that's what travel trade can support you in those areas. And so that's why, this particular session that we have today give you a lot of food for thought. Maybe revisited some things that you haven't thought about in a while, but really understanding how important it will be moving forward to keep in touch with the trade that has sold your business and sold your products and services for many years, and making sure that they're okay and how can you help them, and when the time is right is to get them to come in and to re-experience maybe some of the new things that you've offered for your destination. And it broadens your consumer base. So it really takes you beyond the reach of your marketing budget. Working with AAA, it's something like 40 million members across the United States, and I don't know, we know we don't have the advertising budget to reach that number of people through all the different advertising mediums. So we work with the AAAs, or we work with a travel agent or a tour operator that can access those markets that we're interested in. So being very focused on markets that we want to go after, whether it be the border markets, border city markets that are important to those destinations that have travelers coming in directly from the US on a regular basis, and now with more frequency, and looking at how that has an impact on your destination, and how travel trade can help you move that needle to higher visitation and increase your distribution channels and new forms of distribution, and gives your tourism product and experience instant credibility. So working with a reputable travel trade operator or agent, or someone that is developing these programs for the consumer market, instant credibility is very important as we move through this lull that we've had for 18 months and getting back into the market. Travel trade distribution, Ontario suppliers, your hotels, your attractions, transportation, working with receptive tour operators that will package your products. And then if you go into the international market, you would work with international wholesalers, operators, and online agencies, and into travel agents and consumers. So this is for the international travel trade distribution. In a lot of cases, domestic, it would be working with a tour operator. You could work with a receptive tour operator, and many of you do. And then moving to tour operators, and then retail travel agents and consumers. So it really depends on what your product and service is, and what you're currently doing, and what is your interest in moving forward. And for those that are new to this and listening to this about travel trade for the first time, again, I'm happy to have those conversations with you offline, and if you're looking for more detail. And the role of receptive operator is they're normally based in Canada, and they work with international wholesalers and operators, so in single or multiple geographic markets. So they could develop programs for many different markets. Working with, say, Quebec operators, they deal with the Mexican market, they deal with France, they deal with different European markets. So we have access through a Quebec operator to develop products that meet the needs of those particular markets, but our product is actually being sold and promoted through those markets as well. So source, package, market, distribute, deliver the experiences of all of those assets that we've talked about, provide consolidated distribution and fulfillment of your products. They do the reservations, the documents and accounting, and they answer the questions on your behalf. So connecting with a receptive operator if you're at that point is really a great asset for you to move your product forward. Promote your product to their clients in international markets and also in domestic markets, and provide market intelligence. It helps you understand what it takes to be successful in their market. So they'll walk you through and work with you on their needs, their market needs, and how they can help you develop what you currently have and take you into various markets successfully. So what's the market opportunity? So normally when we have these conversations and there's a variety of people in the room, and normally I do this in person, not virtually, but you have to take a look at, if you're not in the trade market, what are some of the questions you need to ask yourself? And should I get into trade? Is trade important for me? Why do people visit my destination or experience or product or region? And how can I take advantage of that? I know they come, but I don't get any of it. So what do I need to do? It's all about partnerships. It's working together. It's, the word competition is, I think it's been a real roadblock for people, because it's like, I've got a better hotel than that person does. I should be getting the business, and I'm competing against the rates. And sure, there's going to be competition for rates and all different things that tour operators will want in their package. But looking at how you can take advantage of it. If there's people in your destination that are really successful, how can you work with them? How can you create an itinerary? How can you work with them to have an added bonus to the current itinerary that is being developed? And it's really about working together. And I know that RTO9, who has put on this session today, has done an amazing job of pulling people together for many different reasons, for different educational purposes, learning about different aspects of the market, not necessarily travel trade, but really about how do we work together? How do we partner? How can we take down the barrier of competition? And how can everybody benefit? And are you getting your fair share? That's always a question. I don't think I'm getting my fair share. I know they're coming, but they're not coming to me. And we have that question, why aren't they coming to you? What are your rates? Are your rates much higher than the other place, other hotel or other restaurant? Maybe you're not getting your fair share because these are the kinds of things that a tour operator is looking for, and maybe you can't offer them. You need to find that out, and working with the trade, or even dabbling in the trade, and not dabbling just going in and out, but just getting a sense and connecting with some travel trade to find out, why business is coming to your area, but why can't you get any? Maybe you don't have the capacity. Maybe you're not in a good location. Maybe you don't offer lunch. Maybe your menu is too expensive. There's a lot of things. So those things can be worked through if you're really serious about wanting to get involved in this. And what makes your experience different? If there are people within your area that are already experiencing a lot of great business from the trade, and you're the same type of experience, you need to figure out what makes yours different. If you offer a restaurant and you have the same type of menu, the same type of price range, how do you get them to come? And another way is looking at bringing tour operators in, and fam tours are really, I think, important once you get to that point, is working with your local community or working with Destination Ontario, having the conversation, working with your region, is how do we get people to come in and understand that there's more than just this experience that offers that type of product, that there's others as well. And where's your traveler coming from? Are they coming internationally? Are they from Ontario? Are they just Ontario? Are they from Canada? Are they coming from the US? Where do you want business to come from? So there's a lot of questions that you can be asking. What time of the year do you need more business? Do you close down in the winter? Do you need more fall business? Summer season seems to be peak season in a lot of the destinations across the province, and they're busy. Everything was full last year. Everything, because of capacity levels, everything was full. So if you went to a resort or a hotel or a campground or with a provincial park, it was very difficult in peak season to get some of that business. So identifying. So these are some questions that you can ask yourself. Have you packaged with similar experiences in and outside your region? The traveler doesn't know boundaries. So saying that you're in another region or you have a name for your region They have no idea what that means. We have to talk about destinations, and we have to talk about where you're located. You're X number of kilometers away from Toronto, because a lot of them will fly into Toronto, or X kilometers from Ottawa. You know, if you fly into, how do you get to your destination? You know, using via rail, using other methods of transportation. How does your visitor travel? You know, are they group, are they FIT? Who do they travel with? Do they travel with family and friends and couples? Are they girlfriend getaways, guy getaways? You know, what part of the market do you think that you can capture that you're not currently capturing? And what are their financial resources? Are they high end? Are they value based? So are they, money isn't an object, but they want that experience to equal what they pay? Or are they looking for more of a value experience, and they might be willing to pay more for the actual experience? You know, whether it's being on the CN Tower and taking Edge Walk. You know, they might be willing to do something like that. Or the diving experiences, or some of the things that people might not necessarily include in their itineraries, but might be something that you can offer. And there might be some individual travelers. The FIT market is individual travelers, so FIT. So you're aware, if you're not working with the markets and that's not a familiar term to you. And what do they like to do? Finding out, what do you excel in? Boy, I'm telling you, the province, we have such a bounty of experiences from all the things that were mentioned, but wine and culinary, food, farm experiences, food to table, culinary have really amped up. We've had so many across the province of Ontario. That is always a huge benefit for when I'm talking to the trade, is really talking about those experiences. One of the things that I found has been resonating through this whole time is that when people come to a destination, if you have individuals in your destination that have a certain passion, whether it's experiences, it's cultural, whether it be Indigenous, or whether it be somebody that is a wine connoisseur, or somebody that talks about ice wine, or somebody talks about the Thousand Islands, or somebody talks about the history in Kingston with the fort. All of those types of things will resonate really high with groups that are interested in taking advantage and getting immersed in the destination, which we talked about much earlier in the presentation. So those are some of the things that you can look at, and how we can collect that information. So we as Destination Ontario can share that out. I work with tour operators in the US that is so key for their audience, is that they look for that educational experience, that they go into a destination and they want to experience something, but they want to know more about it. They want to know about, if it's a hiking trail and it's a Bruce Trail and it's this many kilometers and it goes from here to there, or they want to the best the Black Heritage. That has been one that's come up recently, that there's an interest in getting people to talk about that, and just really sharing culturally and being immersive and getting involved in the community. That has been very, very key for many people. And then just ways to engage with Destination Ontario, ways you can connect with us. We have our image bank. You can connect with us on social, be part of the conversation. You can share your news. Anything that you have to talk about, you can share it with us. If you're interested in the markets, US, Canada, Mexico, I can help you and work with you directly. If there's other markets that you're interested in, I can connect you up with some of the staff from that area as well. Anyway, I know that there was a lot of talking going on, and I know that we don't have a ton of time I do have time if anybody has questions, for sure. I'm very happy to connect with you later. And yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm jumping in just because we do have quite a few questions.
Okay.
Before I open the microphone, and our time is limited, we have about 6 minutes left. So the first one that came up actually is, are these global trends based on a certain demographic?
No, they're just globally. They're just really talking about travelers in general. So they could be the the various age groups, but no, it was a global demographic, and so I think that those are common to many.
Terrific. And the next one here, after consulting with guests all summer, now that the QR code ideas here. They've made their small in a proof of vaccination property. Have you seen any research on how important this is to travelers? I know you spoke about it briefly.
Yeah, it's you know what, and I think that everybody's going to have different levels of, you know, if that looks like you've gone above and beyond, which is amazing. But I think that it's going to be very important. I think that the proof of vaccination, the vaccination certificate, I think it's just going to be a very common thing. And I mean, the recommendation is that we're hearing from you know, from above, from government, Canada, Ontario, and other provinces. It's really how important it is just to have that proof that you carry with you and that you are aware of, you know, in your destination, who is asking for the validation, which everybody should, especially when it comes to capacity levels for restaurants and in dining. And I think some changes are being made on that as we speak, as far as capacity levels. But yes, I would say it's extremely important, and good for you for taking that on at your B&B.
Terrific, terrific. And then someone is asking where we can access images, and of course it's right on your screen where you can access images through Destination Ontario. Can you share an experience with working with multiple destinations as partners? Any best practices to share working together versus competing? Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's you know, probably one of the one that comes to mind. So in the U.S., there are a few tour operators, like there's Colette and there's Globus and there's Tauck. So those tour operators work with multiple destinations, and they, you know, and some destinations don't feel they get as much as they can from these tour operators spending time in their area. So they traditionally, this would be a very traditional itinerary for those operators, would be Toronto, Ottawa, Niagara, Montreal, and Quebec. That would be their standard itinerary. So they work with those destinations, and those destinations are always having discussions with the tour operators individually to ensure that, you know, they're using the best time that they can in their destination, seeing those experiences that will make a difference. But you know what, even working with when I've done for a tour operator, I've done some workshops, and I worked with 4 different RTOs, and this was probably about 3 years ago. It was pre-COVID anyways. The time has gone by so quickly. But anyway, all of the RTOs were amazing to work with. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to showcase some products that this tour operator was interested in, but had never been to these regions. They hadn't set foot in these regions. They could read up about it. But when it came to working with the region and looking at what the tour operator was interested in, how important it was for individuals to work together. So maybe they would do a site inspection at this hotel, but maybe they would eat at another resort. Or maybe they would do this experience here for outdoors, and maybe they would do one outdoor experiences, maybe a kayaking experience here, and then they would go on to another provider that might provide them with something different that could be provided by the first provider. So it's really all about, and I have never had any of those experiences that people feel they're competing, because if we can get them here, it's our job. It's all of our jobs to ensure that we're doing the best that we can. We are promoting, we are pushing forward the experiences, the things that make us different in our destinations, and in our cities, and our regions, and our counties and communities. So really, the word competition, I think, is one that I'm hoping, if people are still feeling that, is that let's get in the game. Let's talk about what you have, and what do you need, and what can you provide. So those are really important things for us as Destination Ontario to understand. We can help you, but we need to know what your needs are, what your abilities are. Are you currently working with trade? Is that who you're trying to attract? But yeah, I've not run into anything as far as competition is concerned. Everybody wants it, but everybody that I have brought regions together or DMOs together, everybody's willing to work together for a common good, and it's getting them to Ontario. Hello.
Thank you, Sandra. I forgot to unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
So we are out of time. I do apologize. I just wanted to quickly address Susan's question regarding how to market creative workshops she has at her B&B. And the first thing I would say, Susan, beyond your website, is you should be reaching out to your DMO. Next level up would be myself at RTO9, and then it floats up to Sandra Rice. And if you look in the chat room, you'll see both my email address and Sandra's email address in there. At this time, everyone, I don't know if there are other questions, but I know we're out of time. Please reach out to me or Sandra if you have further questions regarding today's webinar. Sandra, thank you for your review of travel trade again and the updates on a global and a more local scale. To reiterate Sandra's point, if you are a tourism business, it is vital that you communicate whether you are open or not and what your hours of operation are to your DMOs so they can communicate this not only to tour operators, but to us at RTO9. Really important that we know who's open when people are reaching out to us for our various DMOs. I would also drive home the desire for travelers to search for unique experiences are important. So working with other partners, as Sandra has indicated, is very, very important to create itineraries so they know there are a variety of things that they can do. Sustainable tourism options are important. Of course, the details of providing good Wi-Fi, safety, traveler reviews are all key factors in deciding where they opt to visit. When you exit this webinar, just on a final note, a quick survey will pop up in your window. Please take a moment to complete this for us. It helps us to learn more about what you need, what you're looking for, what information we can provide through future webinars. And again, thank you everyone for joining. We had a really good audience today. Sandra, as always, it's a pleasure to have you, and enjoy your day. The recording will be on rto9.ca, usually within about 48 hours, and we will as well have Sandra's presentation. Please reach out to either one of us. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.